Hey guys, what's up? My name is Kobe Jarrow, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest DJ duos in the world right now. Not only do they play electronic music though, they're also really huge in the pop scene. I'm talking about the Chainsmokers, and love them or hate them, they've made some of the most influential music of the past 5 years, both in dance music and in pop music. And they've really been one of the first electronic music artists to bridge that gap between dance and pop music. And of course we know them, they're huge now, but how do they get there? And why are they so successful? Adam Alpert, the manager of the Chainsmokers currently and since the beginning, Adam's goal was to release a song every 4 weeks. And he thought about doing this because he thought that if the Chainsmokers fans and if just the general audience wasn't listening to the Chainsmokers, they were listening to someone else. They were releasing mostly remixes of indie songs like The Fox's Holding On to Heaven or Tove Lo's Habit and songs like that. But at this point, they still were just up and coming. Maybe some people knew them on SoundCloud, but they weren't really famous or anything. It wasn't until the end of 2013 that they really blew up. This was, of course, with their song Selfie. Now, the crazy thing about Selfie is when they released it, they sort of just did it as a joke. They had it as a free download. They had one of their friends say these kind of ridiculous, funny things. And of course, they wanted it to go viral because they were talking all about #selfie, which was a huge thing at the time. But they didn't really have any plans or visions of how it was going to go from this kind of funny joke into this huge viral sensation. Essentially, what happened was the song got picked up by Dim Mak Records, Steve Aoki's record label, and once Steve Aoki saw it, Dim Mak Records worked with the Chainsmokers to make an official video, which now actually has over 500 million views on YouTube. They now had a lot of momentum behind them, but their song was sort of a joke, and they didn't know how to transition from this comical song into being serious artists. And I think what they did actually was really smart, where in 2014 they released the song Kanye. Now, Kanye was an interesting song because it was significantly more musical than Selfie, and even though it was still progressive house, it had some poppier elements and featured Sirens XX, and that was certainly poppier, but it was about Kanye, which is kind of funny and comical, and while the lyrics were a little more real than Selfie, of course, they still weren't really deep or meaningful, so slowly you could tell they were trying to transition without kind of pulling in an automatic 180 full spin. So after Selfie, because of Adam Alpert's connections with Sony, and after Kanye as well, they signed to Sony Records, which was a huge move for them because it's one of the 3 major labels, and so they were able to have all these connections that they didn't previously have, and they probably got a really big advance and a lot of money from that, although I don't know the exact terms of the deal, of course. Just about the same time they signed with Sony, they released their next big hit, Roses, which went platinum and was a collaboration with the alternative indie singer Roses. But this song was really cool because it featured better songwriting, quite honestly, and deeper songwriting, and the song was less EDM, kind of what the Chainsmokers were known for, and it still had a lot of electronic elements, it still had a drop, but it was much slower and just kind of really pivoting from where they were beforehand. So then at the end of 2015, they released their debut EP, Bouquet, which featured Roses, but it also featured songs like Waterbed and New York City, and definitely had a much stronger focus on songwriting and also a stronger focus on production, where it wasn't just straight EDM bangers every single song. So this was a really interesting transitory point for them. Then, right after their debut EP, they released one of their biggest songs to date, Don't Let Me Down, featuring Dea. This song is really interesting. This was at the beginning of 2016, but the song is really interesting because Dea at the time was just starting to become pretty well known in the pop world, but the song, while it features some poppy elements and good lyrics and Dea's voice, it has a really pretty heavy trap drop that was played a lot at festivals at the time, and so they were still kind of really in this like purgatory point of not really making pop music yet, but kind of shying away from EDM as well. And this was a big turning point because the song went platinum and they were starting more to focus on collaborating with bigger pop artists as well. So then a few months later, in the middle of 2016, they released what would ultimately be one of their biggest songs ever, Closer. Now this song was really exciting too because it was the first song that Drew had sang on. Closer obviously was a collaboration with Halsey, and that was huge too because Halsey has been one of the biggest pop artists in music for the past couple years. So just the fact that they got to work with her was really awesome. The song features songwriting by Drew as well as Sean Frank. Initially, Drew was pretty scared and uncertain if he should sing on it, but Sean convinced him that it was the right move and really just helped Drew feel comfortable within his own voice. There were a couple other songwriters on the track, including Louis the Child, and so I think this collaboration of just all these awesome EDM artists coming together is really, really cool. This song was maybe the first that was stylistically more similar to the music they're making now because it has the songwriting they're kind of known for, as well as it has a couple of drops, but they're much more down-tempo and melodic than anything. They're not really high energy in the way that their beginning songs were. Then a couple months later, they released their song with Coldplay, Something Just Like This. Coldplay is huge, and the fact that the Chainsmokers got to work with them must have been just such a huge success in their career. Right around the same time of Something Just Like This, the Chainsmokers also signed a 3-year deal with Excess Las Vegas for a residency. Signing this deal was huge for them because getting a residency at Vegas is one of the best ways for an electronic artist to make money these days. And it certainly has helped them because they are actually the 3rd highest paid DJs in the world, which is pretty shocking thinking that 5 years ago they got famous because of a joke song. Then in mid-2017, they released Memories Do Not Open. The reception of the album was definitely pretty mixed. With that said, it's done quite well. The album has gone platinum, and I think because of their release of this album and just their collaborations with all these people, they were nominated for Best New Artist for the Grammys in 2017. They did lose to Chance the Rapper, which in my opinion sort of makes sense, and I think they also thought that Chance deserved it, but they did end up winning Best Dance Recording for Don't Let Me Down with Dea. And I think they absolutely deserve that title because they did something really cool mixing that pop sound with heavy EDM drops, so I think that was a well-deserved win. This past January 2018, they released their song Sick Boy, which to me felt very much like the least EDM song they've maybe ever released. It felt more like an alternative record, and so that was really interesting because I was kind of curious to see where they would go after their big album release. What's interesting too is that now after Sick Boy, they've been touring a lot, so they haven't been releasing very much music, but just last week, they released a song with Nightmare. The song is called Save Yourself and is very trappy, very dubsteppy. What's interesting to me is that it's such a reversal of Sick Boy where it's so EDM, kind of exactly the opposite of Sick Boy, that I'm now sort of curious if, as the Chainsmokers continue releasing music, they might do a really big mixture of EDM and pop, where sometimes they'll play really club-friendly and festival-friendly songs, but other times they'll maybe make alternative songs that won't have a place at any electronic music festival. I think ultimately we'll see in the next year or 3 years whether this strategy pans out for them and whether they'll play bigger events and bigger venues that they may not have had access to before, or if their fans will sort of get lost in this transition of not really knowing whether or not what kind of music they make. I'm excited to see where the project goes and how it transitions into the future. And I hope that they continue blending the lines of EDM and pop in a really new and exciting way. And I think that no matter what you think of them, the fact that they're trying something new and trying something that hasn't been done before is really noble. And so I hope they continue pushing the boundaries and we see what happens. So what do you guys think about the Chainsmokers? Where do you think they're going to go from here? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.